In this lesson, we'll look at how we create links between our HTML pages in our website. Up until now, we've only created links to external websites. But, as you're probably wondering, how do we create links to files that are currently within our website? In the Project Files folder, under Chapter 5, we'll be working with these files, which we can see here in Finder, lesson_02_home, and then nebula _1, 2, and 3 for the next several lessons. To get started, I'd like you to open lesson_02_home.html in your HTML editor, which in my case is TextEdit. And I'll just resize this a little bit to make it a little easier to see, and I'll open up Firefox, and I'll open up this file from the Chapter 5 folder in Firefox, or your default web browser. Now if I scroll down, this should look very familiar to you, as this page looks like the file hubble.html that we've been working on up till this point. In the Project Files folder, in Chapter 5, the other files referenced here, Nebula 0, 1, 2, and 3, are simple HTML pages. Each of these files, Nebula 0, 1, 2, and 3, contain an image of a nebula captured by the Hubble Space Telescope. What we would like to do is on this page, lesson_02_home, is establish links on our bullet items to each of these corresponding pages in our website. To get started, we'll find those bullet points inside our HTML file. And if we scroll down, we can find our list items, and I'll clean up those list items a little bit before we begin, just to make them a little bit easier to read. Now before I begin, I'm going to type a little bit more text on each of these bullet items so that these bullet items explain what the contents of the page that will be linked to contains. I'm just going to quickly type a colon after Nebula 01 and then the name of the image that's on that page. And I'll do the same for each of the following. Okay, now if I save this file and preview in our web browser, we'll see our bullet items have a little bit more text. And it would help if I put the correct title for the third bullet point, which is Bow Shock in the Great Nebula. And if I save and refresh, I can see the correct title listed. And you can see I frequently save and check my work every step along the way, rather than working for 45 minutes and then saving and checking my work and discover that I have nested 3 or 4 errors together, which takes far longer to fix than the 5-second error that I just corrected right now. So, as I look at these bullet points, I now wish to turn each of these bullet points into a hyperlink. Well, we've already seen how to create a hyperlink to an external website, and we've already seen how to use the image tag to create a link to a local image. We're going to use a little bit of both to create a link to a local page. And when I say a little bit of both, I mean a little bit of the syntax of both elements. Here, I find the text Nebula 01, the Eagle Nebula, inside the first bullet item, my first list item. Well, all I need to do is add my anchor tag before and after this text, and then this text will become a link. So, just to walk through the syntax again, I'll add an opening anchor and closing anchor before and after this text. Then, on the opening anchor tag, I'll add the necessary href attribute that will allow this anchor tag to function as a link. Next, I'll add, and this is what I meant about the syntax of local images, I'll add the local path to the file that I want to link to. Previously we linked to a local image. Now I'm going to link to a local file. If I look in my Chapter 5 folder, I can see that Nebula 01 is at the same level in my folder structure or directory structure as lesson 02_home. So, since these two files are in the same directory, all I need to do is type the name of the file, and this link will work, which in this case is lesson_02_nebula_01.htm. And now I'll save my work from the File menu by selecting File and Save, switch over to my browser, and hit Reload. Now I can see that text, Nebula_01, has changed color, it has an underline, and when I mouse over it, I can see the link syntax displayed inside the status bar at the bottom of my browser window. When I click on this link, it takes me to the web page that's resident inside this folder that we just linked to a moment ago, this being an image of the Eagle Nebula. Now if I scroll back up and hit the back button on my browser, I can see I still have 2 more bullet items to link. So I'm going to create anchor links for each of these other 2 list items. But notice one thing, this has nothing to do with HTML, but this has everything to do with efficiency. Look at the way that I'm naming my files. Whenever possible, I'm trying to reduce the amount of work necessary for me to do anything. Efficiency is your friend when working in HTML. Since I have 3 pages of 3 similar subject matters, each of these pages displaying an image of a nebula, notice the way that I've named my files, Nebula_01. I did that on purpose so that I could copy this link by copying the opening anchor tag by holding down my left mouse button and selecting a range of text by dragging my mouse, and then from the Edit menu, I'll copy and paste this opening anchor tag in front of each of the 2 remaining bullet points. Likewise, I'll copy by clicking with my mouse or positioning your mouse after the closing anchor tag, holding down the Shift key on your keyboard, and using the arrow buttons on your keyboard to highlight the closing anchor tag, and then from the Edit menu, copy and paste that closing anchor tag after the text in each of the remaining bullet points. But here's where the efficiency part comes in. Since I know that Nebula 02 is the page that displays the image of the Lagoon Nebula, all I need to change in my file name is a single digit, rather than typing the name of another file. And I'll do the same for the 3rd bullet point. Now, if I save this file and switch over to my web browser and hit Reload, all 3 bullet points are links. Now if I mouse over each of those 2 remaining bullet points, I can see in the status bar that this web browser thinks that each of these bullet points is a link, and if I click on those links, I go to the corresponding pages, and I'll hit the back button on my browser, and I'll click on the last link to see the last image.